The year was 1992. Michael Jackson was more than a superstar. He was a phenomenon. By then, he had conquered the charts, broken world records, and changed the course of music history forever. But for millions of fans across the world, the chance to see him live on stage was something almost impossible to describe. The Dangerous World Tour had only just begun, but it was already being called the most spectacular tour in history. Every concert was a miracle of sound, light, and human energy. And yet, in the middle of this unstoppable storm of success, there was one night, a night unlike any other. A night when Michael Jackson froze in front of tens of thousands of fans. This is the untold story of that night. A story of exhaustion, pressure, love, and the fragile humanity of the man the world called the King of Pop. To understand what happened, you need to understand the scale of the Dangerous Tour. It wasn't just a concert series. It was an empire on wheels. Over 100 shows were planned across Europe, Asia, Latin America, and North America. The logistics were staggering. Hundreds of trucks, thousands of crew members, and equipment that filled entire cargo planes. Each performance was a carefully designed explosion of spectacle. Giant jumbotrons, hydraulic lifts, flamethrowers, fireworks, and a sound system powerful enough to shake the earth. The stage itself was a mechanical beast. Sections rose and sank, trapdoors opened beneath Michael's feet, and fireworks exploded on every beat. But all of that came at a cost. For every 2-hour show that fans enjoyed, there were weeks of planning, endless rehearsals, and a crushing schedule. And for Michael, who demanded nothing less than perfection from himself, it meant giving every ounce of his strength, every single night. By the summer of 1992, the toll was beginning to show. On the night of the freeze, the city was transformed into a shrine for Michael Jackson. Posters of his face were plastered on buses, billboards, and storefronts. Radio stations played his songs on repeat. Hotels were fully booked with fans from around the world, and outside the stadium, people camped on sidewalks for days just to be close to the action. As the sun went down, the streets pulsed with anticipation. Vendors shouted over the crowds, selling glow sticks, bootleg t-shirts, and photographs. Security lines stretched around entire blocks. Everywhere you looked, there was only one name on everyone's lips: Michael. Inside the stadium, the energy was electric. 70,000 fans packed into every seat, chanting his name in unison. Michael! 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 From the nosebleed seats to the barricade at the front, there was a sense that something historic was about to happen. Backstage, Michael was quiet. He always was before a show. His team moved quickly around him, stylists fixing his jacket, assistants adjusting his microphone, stage managers speaking frantically into headsets. But Michael, in the middle of the storm, remained still. He was dressed in his black sequin jacket, crisp white shirt, black pants, and his fedora tilted just so. The famous glove sparkled under the backstage lights. For a moment, he closed his eyes, whispering a short prayer. Those who worked with him often said he transformed when he stepped on stage. In the dressing room, he was quiet, almost shy. But the second he rose before the crowd, he became something else, larger than life, unstoppable, untouchable. That night, he would need every ounce of that transformation. The lights dimmed. The crowd screamed as one. Smoke billowed, and with a sudden blast of pyrotechnics, Michael shot up from beneath the stage on a hydraulic lift. Frozen in his iconic pose, legs apart, head down, hat low, he stood motionless for almost 2 full minutes as the audience erupted in hysteria. This was his signature entrance. Fans screamed until their voices broke. Some fainted. Others cried uncontrollably. All the while, Michael didn't move a muscle. And then, the music hit. Jam thundered through the speakers, and suddenly, Michael exploded into motion. Every step, every kick, every spin was precise and powerful. The crowd was in ecstasy. For the first 30 minutes, it was everything fans had dreamed of. Hit after hit, flawless dance moves, that unmistakable voice filling the night air. It was pure magic. But then, something changed. It began in the middle of the set. Michael was dancing, every muscle moving with perfect rhythm, when suddenly, he stopped. He froze in place. At first, no one thought anything of it. He was famous for dramatic pauses. He could hold still for 30 seconds, even a full minute, letting the tension build until the crowd couldn't take it anymore. And then he would explode back into motion, sending the audience into chaos. But this time, the pause continued. Seconds passed. The band kept playing. The dancers circled him, their eyes darting nervously. But Michael did not move. A minute. 2 minutes. Still, he stood, head lowered, hat covering his face, body completely still under the burning spotlight. At first, the crowd screamed louder, thinking it was a trick. But then the screams began to falter. Confusion rippled through the stadium. In the front row, a girl clutched her friend's hand, whispering, "This isn't part of the show." High up in the stands, a father lifted his son onto his shoulders. "Daddy," the boy asked, "why isn't he moving?" Nobody knew. Michael Jackson, the greatest performer in the world, stood frozen before 70,000 people. The silence spread slowly, like a wave rolling across the stadium. A young woman later recalled, "At first, I screamed louder, because I thought it was just one of his tricks. But then a minute turned into 2, and people started looking at each other. We didn't know what to do. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time." Another fan remembered, "I had seen Michael before, but never like this. He looked vulnerable, almost broken. We didn't cheer anymore. We just watched. It was like we were part of something private." For once, Michael wasn't moving. And for once, his audience wasn't demanding. They simply sat with him, tens of thousands of people, sharing a silence more powerful than any sound. We will never truly know what was happening inside Michael's mind. But those who knew him best understood the pressures he carried. He was exhausted. The tour was relentless. Every city demanded perfection. Every night, he gave everything: his voice, his body, his soul. Michael was also deeply lonely. From childhood, he had lived his life on stage, never truly knowing the world outside of fame. Every move he made was scrutinized. Every word he spoke was analyzed. In that moment, under the blinding light, maybe it all came crashing down. The exhaustion. The pressure. The crushing weight of being Michael Jackson. 6 minutes passed. 7. The crowd held its breath. And then, slowly, Michael lifted his head. The brim of his fedora tilted back, revealing his face. There were tears in his eyes. He stepped toward the microphone. 70,000 people leaned forward as one. And in a trembling voice, Michael whispered, "I need you tonight, more than ever." The stadium erupted. The explosion of sound was unlike anything anyone had ever heard. Fans screamed, cried, collapsed into each other's arms. The love poured over him like a wave, pulling him back to life. For the first time that night, a faint smile crossed his face. He spread his arms wide. The music swelled. And Michael Jackson, the king of pop, returned to the stage. What followed was not just a performance. It was a resurrection. Every step carried a weight it hadn't before. Every note was filled with emotion. The audience wasn't just watching an entertainer, they were watching a man who had faced his breaking point and overcome it. For the rest of the night, Michael poured every drop of himself into the performance. It wasn't flawless. It wasn't perfect. It was something greater. It was real. The next morning, newspapers buzzed with rumors. Some said he had collapsed. Others said it was planned. But the fans who were there knew the truth. They had witnessed something unforgettable. For years, they would tell the story. Not as a failure, not as a mistake, but as one of the most powerful moments in music history. Because on that night in 1992, Michael Jackson, the king of pop, reminded the world that even legends are human. And in his silence, his fans loved him more than ever. This is the untold story of Michael Jackson. A night when silence spoke louder than music. A night when stillness carried more meaning than any dance. A night when the king of pop showed us his humanity. If you want to discover more untold stories of Michael Jackson, rare memories, hidden truths, and the emotional moments that shaped his life, subscribe now, and join us as we journey deeper into the life and legacy of the king of pop. Because Michael's story is far from over.